Yo, what's good, MoCo Hunters? Real quick before we get started in this video was filmed live on my stream. We stream 6 nights a week, 10 p.m. CST. If you want to interact and engage with this chat, you should totally come by to my streams. Anyways, that's all. Let's get into the tier list. All right, so starting with the first one, we're just going to go in order here. We do have the CPU bomb, and after the last set of balance changes, it did get a buff to its damage. I can't remember if it was 5 or 10%. But because of the new dojos and new rifts, it definitely has better use case, but my initial gut reaction is to put it in high B tier. I know I saw some earlier messages saying low A tier. You guys are really out here freaking with the CPU bomb, but I don't think personally I get enough uses out of it when it comes to that big splash AoE damage dealing weapons. I think there's a couple that outshine it, but compared to chapter 1, CPU bomb is in a much better place. Up next we do have the Techno fist, and honestly I immediately want to put them S tier. I could understand the argument for high A tier, so I definitely want to hear what chat has to say, but my go-to is S tier. World farming, several dojos you can complete, several rifts you can complete. It has the AoE, has the stuns, it has the damage. I mean, literally, there's not a whole lot you can't do with the Techno Fist. If there's anybody out here not saying S tier, I'd love to hear your reasonings. But oh yeah, look at my chat. Look at S tier, S tier, S tier, S tier, God tier. Like, I mean, not too much to say about that. Easy peasy, moving right along to the spin sickle. I would have thought that the spin sickle would be higher on my list, but I guess it's just being brought down because it's a melee unit. I would rank this very low A or very high B tier. I definitely think there's some use cases for it. Like, you've seen dethronement, you've seen that build, you've seen people still pick this for open world farming. It does have the sustainability with the dodge, with the AoE and the heal if you pair it with the vampire teeth. But I still think, as I was saying, there's just plenty of other splash dealing units that kind of outshine this, and not even splash damage weapons necessarily. I think already in the meta we're seeing splash gadgets with single target weapons is the use for a lot of these dojos and rifts, but we'll get into that in a little bit. My reaction is kind of high B tier. I'm curious to see what the chat's saying. B or C? B. Spin is low A, a high B. So it sounds like B is a good consensus here for the spin sickle as well, above the CPU bomb for right now. But again, we can revisit this if we start placing weapons and go, actually. But I like B tier for the spin sickle. Moving on to the buzzkill, a sad fall from S tier in my chapter 1 ranking. I genuinely might throw it in C tier. Honestly, maybe even D. Like, look at you guys in my chat are already saying D. Mega Knight's saying F. I genuinely don't think it's F tier. I don't think it's F tier. But the nerf was noticeable. The nerf to the damage of the sword, not only, but the bees. Like, this thing, when you had 4 buzzkill, it was the winner for every single rift. Every single easy rift sub 2 last season was 4 buzzkill. And I don't know a single meta dojo or rift right now that uses even 1 buzzkill. I still think it's not the worst. I'm saying that it might be the worst. Is it the worst, chat? Are we? If 0 use cases is D, then what is F? Honestly, you're right. I was gonna say you might be right, Mega Knight. Like, hold on, before we move forward, what's worse than buzzkill right now? Maybe medicine ball, but we're gonna have to see. Expectation saying I feel like the buzzkill might make a comeback at higher ring levels again. That's very true, and I know we're still kind of earlier on into the meta, so we definitely have some room to test a few more builds, a few more rings, some team synergies. But overall, man, I think I might move it to F tier. That is so tragic. That's a shock compared to last season's tier list, but either way, buzzkill is just not great. But on the complete opposite side of that spectrum, we do have ye old portable portal. S tier, question mark. That's my immediate gut ranking. I would put it below Fist though. I definitely would. I think, like, I'll say it like this. When Portal hits, it hits hard. When you need that splash, AoE, pepper spray, rockets, multi-zap, snow globe, it demolishes. But when you need the single target, you know, there's much better options. And I think Fist outranks it for me in this season. It looks like my chat's agreeing with me here. A lot of S tiers. Portal still S tier. Used less, but can be used in all, just slower. Yeah, for sure. The nerf was also noticeable. I will say that. The fact that it does require a smaller cooldown, increased cooldown, is definitely noticeable for sure. But it's still such a goated weapon, especially if you get all 4 of your teammates running that in a rift, or just using it for that crowd control in dojos. Portal's your go-to weapon. Next up, I didn't even know if I low-key want to save it for last, but oh my gosh, the speed shot clearly F'd here, right? What do we all think? S plus, bro. Like I don't know if there's a better weapon. I actually don't. I mean, like, what's the build? Oh, it's bow with gadgets. If somebody says bow with gadgets, like, that means speed shot with AoE gadget. Like, there's a coined name for it already in this meta. Essentially, it works on single target. It's got enough damage to where if you pair it with AoE gadgets, you can survive. Like, it's insane. Also, didn't it get a nerf too? Or did it get changed in the last set of balance changes? Either way, speed shot is ridiculous with this season, with the gadgets, with the combination of dojos and rifts and mobs and everything. Speed shot is goated. Next up, we have an interesting one on the list, because I know this was rated well in a lot of tier lists last season for PvP. I don't know in the PvP scene right now exactly how well it's doing, but for dojos, actually, for world farming, for not necessarily rifts, but specifically dojos, so underrated. I definitely don't think it's A tier, but I want to say like low B almost, maybe high C. Most of my chat is saying C here. Spin can go in worlds, CPU bomb can't. Like, that's all right. That maybe is the deciding comment. Maybe that's why I have chat helping me out with this. I kind of vibe with this right here. The world's comment on the spin sickle did actually really push spin sickle just slightly over the edge for me than CPU bomb. So shout out Danielle for that comment. After some comments, after talking with the chat, we did do some reconstructing. So far we have the S tier, which is staying the same, but we have reorganized A, B, and C to include spin sickle, CPU bomb, and wolf stick respectively. I've probably shown a little bit of that chat conversation, but either way, this is the tier list so far. Let's go ahead and move on to the monster slugger. Is it C or is it D? Slugger's about the same. I was gonna say, so it looks like pretty much all of us are agreeing here. Truthfully, I would rank Wolfstick above Monster Slugger, but both of them they're only high on this list because they have a specific dojo and or rift that you use them on. I guess both of these would be dojos, but still fairly bottom of the barrel weapons though, and you would only use them for that specific thing, but they have a use case, so they're not D or F tier. And speaking of weapons that have a very specific use case that are also still probably bottom of the barrel, moving right along to the Staff of Good Vibes. I could understand the argument of A tier. I could. Staff of Good Vibes got a rework this season, minus 30% damage and buffed 45% healing. Exactly. So you don't use it for damage. It never should have been a damage weapon. I don't think it really was, but they absolutely annihilated that in the most recent set of balance changes. But because of its buff to healing, it actually does work as a healing weapon. There are a few rifts. I know we've mentioned library as one of the rifts several times in this tier list video. Staff of Good Vibes is one of those weapons that I absolutely have used in that rift multiple times with 3 other hornbows. Keeps everybody healed up, and it's just, honestly, it's a good healing weapon now. I still don't think healing is exactly the greatest thing in the meta. I think with some of the reworks they did to the gadgets and other weapons, Staff of Good Vibes is in a much better place than Chapter 1, but I still think a majority of the time you can just get away with each member of your team using healing gadgets as opposed to using a dedicated healing weapon. But that being said, when a dedicated healing weapon is required, Staff of Good Vibes has very quickly jumped up the ranks, and it's made itself known as a solid healing weapon in this game. So that's why I initially want to rate it low B tier. I've kind of been yapping to wait to see what chat says about this. But all right, we'll leave it there because it looks like a majority of chat is saying below. We'll go with chat's opinion. We'll go with below. Making our way right on through. Next up, we have the Jaded blades, and they did receive a rework, so they no longer dash even while you're attacking. I want to put them low C tier because they do have crazy high DPS actually, and there are very specific use cases for some dojos. There are, somebody just said movement and world. Necro, good for movement and worlds. It is still good for movement if you're not attacking. You don't have the invisibility, and you do have to now save up the attacks with that charge, but you do still have an extra dash, basically. I just used to sub one Who's Your Daddy Nightmare. Exactly, that was actually the dojo that I was referencing when I said there is a use case dojo for the Jaded blades. But it's again one of those like very specific use cases, similar to the wolf stick, similar to the wolf stick, similar to the monster slugger. It's just going to be very niche, very specific, and you're probably, yeah. Also, Sewer King Heart sub 1 uses this as well. Shout out Expectation. Go watch that video. I'm really conflicted. It's either low B or high C for sure. All right, it looks like we got some people. We got some people caving. You know what? I went with majority last time. I'm gonna go with high B. I'm gonna go with my gut, or low B. Excuse me, low B. It's definitely got the damage. Like, I think there are some use cases still we haven't even figured out, and some like rifts and dojos we haven't even figured out that Jaded blades is the optimal build for it. I think the damage slaps, and that's really what's pushing me over here. I know chat is kind of split on this one as well, but I'm curious. Let me know down in the comments if you have different opinions on Jaded blades or any of these weapons in general. If you have different opinions, how you would rank them differently, let me know, because I do want to hear. Moving right along to the medicine ball, which also got a rework similar to the Staff of Good Vibes, changes to the healing all around. It does slightly heal less, but you do get a buff to your total HP, so obviously that brings it up to the S tier. That's a joke. It's, I mean, we don't, who uses medicine ball? Like, I just can't. After talking to my chat, it does appear that we've seen multiple messages requesting a tier lower than F tier because of how bad the medicine ball is. I'm not gonna add an extra tier, but just know my chat and myself, we all hate the medicine ball. That's also very true. There's way more stuns and slows this season, so melee weapons are just not nearly as good. That is also very true. Moving on to my next weapon. My rating of this in my last chapter's tier list was very controversial. I rated it way higher than I think most people would have, and I think I'm still gonna roughly rank it in the same spot. It's hard to rank a tank weapon in comparison to damage dealing weapons, so I think I am going to leave it at the bottom of S tier. But surely most of you would agree that this is S tier specifically because of how many rifts need at least one tank. I know when you get into nightmare rifts, I'm pretty sure there's at least one rift that requires like 2 tanks. But I mean, if you need a tank, you could make a use case argument sometimes for spin sickle, but if you need a tank, it is going to be Toothpick and Shield. The damage reduction, the HP, and apparently according to Expectation, you can also use this in a dojo. I mean, it's got the use case. You can't expect to use this in a dojo every time, but if you want to tank, this is the weapon. I mean, it literally is. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. There's no way around it. It is a solid tanking weapon, especially with its buff now too. You require less hits to charge that super. You're stunning the mobs around you more. You're taking less damage. You're healing your teammates. It's just goated, and I'm arguing it's S tier. You can fight me about it. You can get mad in the comments. Tell me it's A, B, C, D, F. You don't tank. You don't use Toothpick. You use medicine ball. it's S tier. I mean, moving on, we have the Singularity, and I have to be honest, I am slightly disappointed with the Singularity. It hurts me to say that because it's got to be my favorite weapon in the game, just based off vibes, just based on ability. On paper, it is sick. On paper, it's the best weapon in the game. Looking at just like how cool it is, S+. Functionality, using it in game, it's got to be like B tier. Looks like I haven't looked at chat yet. B, C, garbage, B or C, low C. As someone who hasn't used it much, it's high C for me. There wasn't a Rift Dojo, which it was a meta pick, and that's the thing for sure. Are new weapons any good? They are not the greatest, which is sad. Hey, speaking of the new weapons not being the greatest, since we just moved the Singularity back into high C tier based off a non-biased pick, let's move on to another new weapon, the hornbow, which similarly, I would maybe put it high C, maybe even lower. I mean, I have used the hornbow in one rift. They did remove the stun effect, I believe, from its charge shot, which massively nerfed the weapon. I do believe it had a pushback stun effect in its little trial run when we did the Save the Fan event, the shot bow mayhem. But now that it's the hornbow, they revamped it, reworked it a little bit, and I believe it came back substantially weaker. I think personally for me, and this is where every tier list is going to differ, there's going to be one or two weapons where people have different opinions. I know I've seen several people in chat ranking this B tier, expectations ranking this B tier as well. I think I'm going to leave it in C tier. The lowercase tier list ranks hornbow fairly low. I personally don't get a lot of use value out of it. I'm picking fist, I'm picking portal for crowd control, I'm picking spin sickle for crowd control. I think it, without its stun, with just its pushback, it doesn't deal enough damage, and in very specific niche use cases as the rest of the C tier, it does get some value, but overall for me, I'd pick a lot of other crowd control weapons over it. All right, after some deliberation, I am moving hornbow up one. Still gonna stay in C tier, but I think I am gonna rate it above Singularity. I think I've been convinced, but honestly, for me personally, still gotta stay in the C tier. I just can't rank it. I can't move it up above one. But moving on to our last new weapon, now that we've completely crushed the other two into the C tier, the other one is not gonna be that much better. I mean, it might also be C tier. Maybe it's better, maybe a low B tier just because of its crowd control. I know we were literally just talking about the crowd control of the hornbow, but I think you get more damage from this in like world farming if you use the right rings. Maybe I'm wrong about that. Maybe I'm just biased towards the poison bow. Oh, you guys are saying D tier. I rock with the poison bow, I'm not gonna lie. I think its crowd control is kind of goated. I think poison hits hard if you pair it with the rings. I low-key want to put it B tier. My chat though is ranking it low. Look at this. For sure, the poison bow is the best of the new three weapons. I would say that. Jack of all trades, master of none is poison bow summed up. Expectation summed it up, nailed it right on the head there. It's just okay at everything. It's got a little bit of crowd control with the poison. If you get all that poison on one mob with all the single target, it does have a decent bit of DPS. It's not the worst reload speed. It's only what, like 5 to charge up the combo. With the right passives and with the right gadgets, you can make a pretty gnarly build for open world farming. You could probably clear some rifts with it, maybe not meta picks. Overall though, it is just okay. And it's really sad to see, now that we've ranked all of the weapons here, all three of these new weapons are B and C tier, and we have Speed Shot, we have Techno Fist, and Portal as our three winning damage weapons, at least for my tier list. And I'm really upset by that. I know it is quite in Supercell's nature to release broken weapons, but typically that's when you have a pay-to-win landscaping, and now that everything is completely free to play, I really wish that because we had to grind for these weapons, I really wish it would have been worth the payout, but I would argue it's not. If you're really out here grinding your little heart out to unlock these brand new weapons, and take it at your own pace. They're not going to be winning you any awards, and you're going to be doing most of your rifts and dojos, if not all of them, with your speed shot, with your techno fist, with your portal, and with your toothpick and shield. So it's just this is my tier list. Overall, if I'm comparing this tier list to chapter 1, it is very, very, very similar with weapons on top, but I think the builds have changed quite dramatically. I think overall like 90% of rifts are bow and gadgets. So you have speed shot, and you have either high single target DPS, or you have a lot of crowd control. That's why it's S+. You're using speed shot in just about every single dojo, or every single rift, excuse me. Techno fist is my go-to open world farming, and portal is, obviously we've talked about the build situation for that, another rift and dojo destroyer monster clearer. And then tank. So this is my S tier. This is how I would rank it. Very similar to chapter 1, obviously with different builds like I've mentioned. I'm very curious. There was some controversy in rating some of these, so I am very curious to hear y'all's opinions on this. But this is my tier list for chapter 2 of all of these weapons. Let me know what you think down in the comments, and I will catch you guys in the next video. Peace out, Girl Scouts.